Our story begins with two families saying goodbye to each other, while a boy and a girl stand nearby. The girl is bidding farewell to the boy, who clearly shows sadness on his face. However, she reaches out to him, thanking him while crying because he always protected her. She tells him that when she leaves, she will do everything she can to become a powerful witch, and she promises that they will meet again. He nods and waves goodbye to her. Next, we jump to the events after they've grown up, where some delinquent kids are calling out to Morihito after he has matured. One of them tells him that what he did a few days ago won't be forgotten easily. Morihito asks who they even are, which angers them, so they introduce themselves. One of them, named Momoda, reminds him that they were bullying a student, and he came to save him, running off with him while also bullying them in the process. This angers them even more, and they start to attack him, but it's easy for him to dodge their punches, showing that he's stronger than them but doesn't want to hurt them for fun. In the end, Momoda attacks him and manages to hit him. After that, we move to Morihito's home, where his father asks why he allowed them to hit him when he could have easily defeated them. Morihito explains that Momoda, whom he let hit him, was someone he'd injured severely when they were younger. His father responds that it doesn't justify it, as that was in the past, and they taught him how to control his strength. Morihito insists that if he hadn't let Momoda hit him, he wouldn't have dealt with them at all, believing he made the safest choice. During dinner, his father asks if he remembers the young witch he said goodbye to long ago. At that moment, Morihito is shocked and recalls painful memories with her. He mentions he remembers her when she came to 4th grade and said she was going to witch school to learn magic. His father tells him she has finished her training and intends to return, also deciding that he will be her guardian. Morihito is stunned and spills his food all over his father. His father then says he understands the shock, since guardians of witches are typically animals. However, in the past, those animals managed to absorb magical energy from witches and take on human forms. Over time, those animals married real humans and had a new lineage called the ghoul lineage. It turns out that Morihito and his father are part of this lineage, which is why they have a pact with the witches for their descendants to be their guardians. Morihito argues that he knows all this and is well aware of his roots, but in today's age, being someone's follower is not good for him. His father insists they have a covenant that he must honor. Morihito gets angry and tells his father he should be her personal guardian instead. His father replies he would have done that, but unfortunately, he has an important work trip and will travel tomorrow. Eventually, Morihito calms down and continues eating, while his father continues the story saying that Nico will remain in the city of witches for personal reasons, so he and Nico will be living alone together in the house. Morihito is even more shocked and spills even more food on his father, which makes his father say he must be doing this on purpose. Morihito thinks over the situation. Next, we see Nico returning to the city, very happy, and saying she hopes Morihito is okay. We return to Morihito sitting in his room, remembering moments with Nico when she couldn't pronounce his name correctly, so she called him Moi. He reflects on how much she has matured. Suddenly, Nico accidentally breaks the glass in his room and falls in front of him. Morihito is startled and thinks she's a thief, but she apologizes and says she lost her balance and fell. When she stands up, she introduces herself, shocking Morihito as she tells him she fulfilled her promise, and they've met again. They share a sweet moment, but Moi interrupts, saying they need to clean the room now. While cleaning, he tells her he can't believe she caused this much trouble and broke the glass. Nico feels very embarrassed and tries to help, but he tells her not to touch anything and to rest since she must be tired. He gives her some cookies to eat, and while she's eating, she looks at Moi and thinks how he has grown into a handsome young man, but he's still the same straightforward person. She starts imagining things in her head, but Moi interrupts her thoughts, telling her he knows everything happened suddenly, but he's sure they will manage things. She apologizes for everything that happened so unexpectedly, and explains that her mother chose everything. He tells her it doesn't matter, as they have a pact to uphold. The important thing now is to clean up the glass. She says she can fix the glass with her magic, and he asks if she's serious. She confirms she can, and tells him she needs a medium to perform the spell. He asks what a medium is, and she tells him it doesn't matter. What's important is if he has something precious to him. He asks about his favorite cup, saying he's very attached to it. She says that's perfect, and takes the cup to start working on the spell. Moi is shocked. Nico indeed manages to fix the glass, but suddenly Moi hears something smash. When he looks over, he's shocked to see that his cup is broken. Nico explains that in order to fix a broken item, the object used must be tied to strong emotions tied to the owner. Moi gets angry and says she should have told him this from the start because that cup meant a lot to him. Nico apologizes and admits he's right. She should not have used one of his items while still relying on him for everything like when they were kids. He tells her no, she has changed, and the important thing is that the window is fixed regardless of the broken cup. The magic is amazing. amazing. Then he tells her at first he didn't recognize her, which made her very happy. She says she can show him many other spells if he wants, but he says no, he doesn't want to. She insists, wanting to show him a new spell that turns anything into a flat sheet of paper. He tells her he doesn't want to see any more spells after his cup broke. She says the thing will return to its original state in the end. Then she decides to do the spell on herself. Indeed, she does it, which shocks Moi, as Nico cannot control herself and everything appears wavy before her. By accident, Nico flies out the window. Moi was shocked by what happened and said that Nico was still as reckless as ever. He tried to catch up with her, but he couldn't hold on more than once until she got stuck in a narrow hallway. Moi couldn't pull her out, so he asked her to wait while he went to get a broom to pull her out. She told him that the spell was about to wear off, and that if she didn't get out of that hallway, she would really become a flat woman. Suddenly, Momota appeared and asked Moi what he was doing in front of his house, wondering if he came to take revenge on him. But Moi, seriously, said he needed a vacuum cleaner quickly because the situation was extremely dangerous. Momota reacted coldly and asked if Moi wanted to fight, or what. Moi remembered what happened when they were kids, when Momota hit him and broke his arm. After that, Momota and his friends beat Moi up in front of Nico, and Moi didn't react despite being able to hit them all hard like a giant. Later, his father told him he acted rightly. Moi asked his dad why they had the power of giants anyway, saying it was a bad thing. His father told him he could get training to control his power, and overall, strength was important because it made its owner strong-hearted. After that, Moi got furious and used his power. Momota felt fear, thinking Moi would kill him, but at the last moment, Moi used his power to break the wall and managed to get Nico out safely. Nico returned to her normal self at just the right moment, and Momota was shocked to see her again. She greeted him, calling him grassfish. Momota got angry and told them they needed to fix his wall right now or he wouldn't spare them. Moi asked Nico if she could fix the wall, and she said she could but needed something precious from its owner. Then, Moi decided to use Momota's hair for the spell. Indeed, the wall was repaired, and Momota became bald, feeling enraged and not understanding what had happened. Then Moi and Nico departed, and Nico apologized to Moi for what happened, asking if it wasn't a mistake to use Momota's hair. Moi reassured her, saying not to worry, and that they were now equal. She agreed, and Moi continued, saying things had ended well, and now they should go home. Suddenly, Nico stopped and said she wanted a favor. It turned out she wanted to buy clothes. She bought a lot of clothes, which amazed Moi, who carried them, saying the weight was so much that he felt like his arm would break. But she joked, telling him not to say that because he was a strong giant. Then she said she would do a spell to help him, making things very light. When Moi tried to carry the items after Nico's spell ended, he was shocked by how light they were, and told Nico that her magic was amazing and very useful, making her incredibly happy. She started to walk, and Moi thought about whether she was really ready to let the whole city know she was a witch, since that would bring attention to her and put her life in danger. Nico asked him what she should do then. Stay locked up at home? Moi suggested that this would be good and reduce the risks. Nico replied that she understood his thinking, but there was a rule that witches must help people, and also that inexperienced witches like her have unstable magic, so interacting with people would help stabilize it. But if she stayed alone, it would make her dive into dark magic. Moi told her it would be better for her to interact with people while using her magic. She agreed, and said she knew this would be hard for him, but it was part of completing her training so she could be a witch capable of helping people. Moi smiled and thought to himself that Nico's dream was great, and he had to help her achieve it. He told her, "Okay, I'll be your guardian and help you with what you want." Nico was shocked by his reaction and started thinking about how to act if they started dating. During this, a fire broke out in one of the towers, and a woman was asking for help. Nico decided to help her, but Moi tried to stop her because it would be dangerous, and there were many people around them. Nico reminded him that she had told him she would use her magic to help others, and pulled out her flying broom. Moi decided to help her and said, "You fly on the broom, and I'll rescue the woman." They began to carry out the plan amidst the crowd's shock. Moi asked the woman to throw herself to them, and when she did, they were on the verge of falling due to the heavy load. Nico used her lightness spell to make Moi light, saving the situation at the last moment. But it seemed the spell affected Moi's mind too, as he started saying strange things, and she realized the lightness spell affected people and made them cheerful. The woman was shocked by what was happening, asking how they were flying like that as if it were normal. They started explaining it to her, but while flying, the lightness spell began to fade, and they were about to fall again. However, they managed to land safely. They celebrated their landing while the woman thanked them for saving her life. Then Nico remembered they left the belongings behind and they decided to return to get them, saying goodbye to the woman as they went. After that, we move on to Moi and Nico, who arrived home exhausted from the heavy load of things that were heavier than usual. When Nico read the spell book, she found that this was a side effect of the lightness spell, which also affected Moi, and they both collapsed to the ground. After that, Moi and Nico were whining in frustration because they hadn't expected their day to turn out like this with all these happenings. Later, they got ready for bed, and Nico told Moi that their new life would officially begin tomorrow, hoping he would take good care of her during this time. Moi responded, "Don't say such strange things, just go to sleep in your room." She said, "Okay," and before going to her room, she thanked him for what he did today, telling him it was amazing that he could control his power now, and he must have undergone tough training. He replied, "Yes." He began to remember his father's words when he said that within a year, a catastrophe would happen to Nico. Of course, Moi was shocked by this, and his father explained that he knew because Nico's father was a fortune teller and could see the future, but they didn't have details about what would happen exactly. However, when he tried to figure out a solution to this catastrophe, he found that Nico needed a guardian creature to survive. Moi was thinking of a way to save Nico from this situation while Nico looked at him with love. The next day, Nico went out and was talking to Mai, asking him how he felt after their first day living together. He replied coldly, telling her she should go downstairs as soon as she got dressed and not come to his room. She was thinking to herself, hardly believing she was living with Mui in the same house. Later, they arrived at school, and Nico was very happy, saying her teenage life had finally begun. When she looked at the class list, she was thrilled to see that she and Mui were in the same class. Nico was thinking that she was a witch, but hoped to make many friends, while Mui was thinking about how to deal with the mess he was in. After the welcome meeting for the students, Nico and Mui were walking through the school, and Nico was looking at the other students, feeling very happy since everyone was around her age and had close relationships. She wished she could have a relationship like theirs. Then she noticed Mui calling her over, saying they needed to talk. She thought he was going to confess his love for her, but when they stopped to talk, he said he wanted her to never mention that she was a witch or use her magic at school to avoid trouble. She felt hurt by his words. Afterward, they went to class, where their teacher introduced herself and was about to share her hobbies, but started thinking that if she said her hobby was reading manga, she would be made fun of, so she decided to say her hobby was dancing. Anyway, the students said she was strange. Then the teacher said she would call on the students to introduce themselves. At that moment, Mui told Nico not to forget what he had said, and not to mention she was a witch, but she thought to herself that she wanted to help everyone with her powers. However, Mui remembered what his dad said about a disaster happening to Nico within a year, so he was trying to take all precautions. Then the teacher started with the boys, and the students began introducing themselves, most being quite quirky. Nico noticed that Mui was taking notes on the students to figure out how to deal with them since he was her guardian. Next, it was the girls' turn, and while Mai was taking notes, he made a mistake and broke his eraser while trying to erase it. He looked sad and anxious at that moment, and Nico was thinking about how to help him because he looked very upset. She started imagining that if she helped him, he would change his mind, love her more, and let her use her magic freely. She decided to use a spell that could turn anything into something bigger. She started explaining the spell, then began to execute it, but accidentally ended up affecting a part of Mui's hair. Indeed, that part grew in a crazy way. When the teacher saw it, she asked if John Freaks had joined their school or what. She was anxious and couldn't believe what she was seeing. Nico was also scared and didn't know what to do. She decided to cancel the spell by using it on the same spot again, but when she tried, she hit Mui's head instead, and it ended up making his entire head huge, while Mui hadn't noticed anything strange during all this time. Then another student started to introduce himself and told a few jokes that made everyone laugh, even Mui. When it was Mui's turn to introduce himself, the teacher looked at him, worried, thinking that she was sure what she saw was just her imagination because she had stayed up too late the night before. Nico tried to cancel the spell again, but this time, she accidentally hit his arm. Mui noticed what had happened and looked at Nico, who was showing signs that she had done all this, and she was also trying to apologize to him. When he stood up to introduce himself, he was trying to hide his arm, and all the students were puzzled by the way he stood and talked. Mui thought to himself that now everyone would think he was weird, but things went smoothly after that. Then Mui put his arm in front of Nico to reverse the spell and return his arm to its normal size. But at the same time, Nico stood up quickly and accidentally hit herself with the spell, making her incredibly huge. Everyone in the classroom was panicking. Then she introduced herself, saying she was a witch, which made Mui very frustrated. However, The teacher explained that they had been chosen by her mother to be witches before, and that this was not a surprise. Nico stood there looking sad while everyone stared at her. Mui thought to himself that he wanted her to make friends, but after what happened, he didn't think anyone would want to get to know her. After class ended, Mui suggested to Nico that they go home, and she agreed, but one of her classmates called her over and invited her to walk home with them and go to a restaurant on the way. Mui agreed, which made Nico happy. When the girls arrived at the restaurant, they encountered some guys who were trying to flirt with them, telling them how beautiful they were and asking why they wouldn't go out with them. One of the girls said, "Let's ignore them and go inside the restaurant." At that point, one of the guys tried to talk to her, but she snapped, "We won't waste a single second on losers like you," which shocked the guys. They then left, and the girls entered the restaurant. After that, Nico told the girl named Kara that what she did was really great, which made Kara very shy. She replied, "Don't worry about it, just tell me about you, Nico." Then Kokomi also stated that it's wonderful to have a witch with them at school, and asked Nico to tell her about magic and spells as well, wondering if Nico could really use magic. Nico confidently said she could, and that it was very easy, prompting Kara to comment that this confidence could be dangerous. Nico began to talk about how in the place where she lived, she didn't have friends her age, which often left her feeling lonely, and she was looking forward to hanging out with friends her age like what was happening now. She asked if Kara and Kokomi had been friends since middle school. Kokomi replied yes, and shared that in middle school, she was a lonely girl who loved reading books, which made the other students bully her and call her weird. But one day, Kara came to Kokomi and asked her to go to the restaurant with her, to which Kokomi agreed, and since then, they had been friends. Nico said what Kara did was amazing, making Kara blush again, but then Kara said, "Forget about me, and tell me about that handsome guy you hang out with at school." Nico responded, "Are you talking about Mui? He's my childhood friend," which shocked Kara. She remarked, "If you're childhood friends, why do you talk to each other like that?" And he responds back similarly, "I'm sure you have a romantic relationship." Nico firmly said, "Of course not," and Kara continued asking, "Then why do you go back to the same house?" Nico explained, "That's because we lived together," which sent Kara into a frenzy, exclaiming, "What are you talking about? That's really gross." Nico felt embarrassed and didn't know what to say. While they were talking, the guys waited outside, and they vowed to get back at the girls. Later, Kara suggested to Nico, "Why don't you tell us about your relationship with Mui and introduce us? Because I want to find a boyfriend." Kokomi agreed as well. Meanwhile, the guys were preparing to confront them, but Mui was watching the situation and ended up hitting all the boys without mercy. At the same time, Nico was saying incorrect things about Mui, diminishing his image. As the girls left the restaurant, they said they were misled by Mui's appearance. Nico found herself apologizing for what she said, but she seemed to feel some jealousy. The next day, students gathered around Nico, saying she was amazing, which made Mui happy because he was worried that Nico wouldn't be able to make friends. On the other side, some boys asked Mui to introduce them to Nico, and Kara urged her to show her magic. Mui was angry about this, but Nico was very excited and started using spells. When the teacher entered and saw the classroom in a strange condition, she asked if she had entered a castle at the end of a demon-slaying anime or something. Then the teacher began talking, saying she thought she had entered the wrong place, but she figured out what had happened and didn't want more noise. She started explaining the lesson and then told them they had to do some exercise called futsal basketball, but the students protested. Then she added, "We don't have to tire ourselves out. We can use Nico's magic to help us," and all the students agreed to this. However, Mui was naturally upset, insisting that magic shouldn't be used for fun. In the end, they went to the schoolyard to start things off, and Nico was trying to explain the rules while using her magic. After this, she made everyone fly, and they couldn't believe what was happening. Each student used gravity magic in a way that expressed their personality, but in the end, they all blended and used magic in a unified way. The teacher was watching in shock and amazement, and some students from other classes were observing as well, wishing they could join them. Later, Mui asked Nico if she was okay because he was sure she was using a lot of magical energy. She replied, "Don't worry, I'm fine, and I can recharge my magical power by eating some food. What matters most to me is that everyone is having fun because I was born to be a witch, and I'm happy to make everyone enjoy my magic with my power." Mui then said, "If that's how you feel, I'm the exact opposite. I haven't felt a moment of joy since I was born a ghoul." Nico countered, "But your power is amazing. You need to tell everyone." At that moment, Mui remembered when he was young and how his friends distanced themselves because he wasn't normal. He told Nico, "If I tell everyone I'm a ghoul, no one will ever want to be around me." Just then, a car entered the schoolyard, and by coincidence, it flew into Nico's magic zone and started soaring through the air. When it exited the magical zone, it was about to crash to the ground, threatening to kill everyone inside. But at the critical moment, Mui intervened and saved the vehicle. Everyone was shocked by what they saw, wondering how he did that. Nico was about to tell them she used her magic, but Mui stopped her, saying, "Actually, I'm a ghoul. Please don't avoid me." To his surprise, everyone responded with admiration, telling him he was amazing and welcoming him with awe at his strength. Mui was shocked by this and asked, "Why aren't you afraid of me or avoiding me?" They replied, "Hey, we were just flying a moment ago. Of course, we wouldn't be surprised to find out that the witch's childhood friend is a ghoul." Mui thought to himself that these students must be mentally challenged, but it was okay since things turned out well. Now, being a witch and a ghoul was no longer a secret. Their class became a source of legendary stories, and all the students had a positive reaction, wanting to become friends with Mui and Nico and connect with them. Then we see Mama Nico using the prophecy book, laughing evilly, saying she's used to this annoying laugh. We learn that she is using her power to predict what will happen, and the book starts by stating some numbers. These numbers correspond to words on certain pages and lines, and by combining these words, Mama Nico will predict future events. When the book ends, and she looks at the words, she discovers that a dog and raindrops will cause a disaster. Next, we shift to Mui, who is preparing a cup of coffee. He expresses his love for this quiet routine, and despite his cup breaking, he got a new one that looks great. He admires the coffee cup and says he loves these peaceful moments during the weekend. After that, Nico wakes up, trying to get Mai's attention, and thinks to herself, "What do you think of this wonderful pajamas, Mui?" But he shows no interest, appearing spaced out. Nico is shocked by his reaction, thinking, "What a cold response. He was supposed to say something." Indeed, Mai tells her that just because it's the weekend, it doesn't mean she should be lazy, and that she should change her clothes immediately, which makes her grumble, thinking, "You're worse than my mom." Then he mentions that all her clothes look the same, which shocks her. When she goes to check her clothes, she insists they all have different styles, but they share the same details, making them look similar when she wears them. She observes that girls these days always keep up with fashion and had received a magazine with some new styles, but she claims she doesn't own any of them. It's not surprising that Mui looks at her coldly. Nico thinks she needs to put in some effort to catch up with modern fashion, but she ultimately decides to use magic. She casts a spell to transform the clothes she sees in the pictures into real clothes. However, since the clothes in the pictures only show the front side, the back side of the clothes that emerge is transparent. Nico doesn't know what to do and thinks that she doesn't want Mui to see the back of the clothes. So, she hesitates about what to do, but ultimately decides to show him these new clothes. When she emerges, Mui is surprised by her behavior, and she tells him not to look, which shocks him because he doesn't understand what's going on. She stands in front of him in a strange pose resembling a wrestling stance. He isn't concerned and decides to get another cup of coffee, but when he stands up, she tells him, "You're a pervert," making him stunned. She tells him not to move and stay put. Then Mui sits down, following her command, and she starts to move sideways until she stands in front of him, asking, "What do you think?" Mui doesn't understand what's happening, so she tells him not to make her explain in detail. She asks him what he thinks of her clothes, and he replies that they look beautiful, saying he didn't know she had clothes like this. Then he says, "I get it, you want to go out, so you dressed up. Let's go out now." She screams, "Of course not. How do you expect me to go out like this?" And he doesn't understand what's happening. He questions, "What did you say?" "I didn't say anything weird." She shyly replies, "No, you didn't say anything weird. I just wanted you to see these clothes." He tells her they're beautiful, but her usual clothes are also nice, comfortable, and simple. On the other hand, he believes people look more beautiful in clothes they love, which leaves Nico shocked and shy. She's determined to rush to change her clothes, but forgets about the transparent part of what she's wearing. Mui is shocked at what he sees and asks, "Are these the clothes that are popular these days?" Nico just tells him, "Of course not, just don't look." She then goes and puts on her regular clothes. He compliments her, saying, "These clothes are beautiful and comfortable, they make your heart race," making Nico shy and say she didn't expect Mui to say something like that. After that, Mui wanted to scrutinize her outfit, and when he got closer, he asked, "From what era are these clothes?" She replied, "I don't know, but all my clothes belong to my French grandmother," which shocked Mui. He tells her he knew those clothes were from the 20th century and very valuable. At that moment, Nico understood why Mu's heart raced when she wore those clothes and told him, "Of course my heart races because these clothes are of high quality, and we can't get clothes of such quality in our time." This made Nico angry at his words. She said, "By the way, this coat I'm wearing belonged to Adolf, and it's from the 1940s. She then told Mui, "I really wonder wonder about you. Your heart races for old clothes, but didn't race when you saw me wearing transparent clothes." At that point, Mui didn't react to her words and just said, "Your clothes were transparent, but I didn't see anything." This made Nico upset, saying, "We live together under one roof, and you don't care at all. You always sit alone. I think since I came here, you've become a zombie because the house has gotten noisy." Mui replied, "That's partially true," which shocked her, and she decided not to talk to him for the rest of the day. However, Mui was said to always live with his father, and the place was always quiet. But he found that when the place was noisy, it wasn't bad for him. Then he continued, "Nico, wear the clothes you feel comfortable in. All clothes are suitable and beautiful when you wear them. I was just excited because I found our taste in clothes to be similar." Then Mui said he would prepare a meal and eat it outside, which made Nico happy. Later, some packages arrived at the house, all addressed to Nico. Mui asked, "What are all these items?" She said they contained some books and manga. Then Mui noticed one of the packages had his name on it, and Nico said it was surely from her mother, making him curious. Inside the package was a letter, and while he started to read it, he discovered that Nico's mother now lives in a village called Yozankyu in Japan due to witch hunting operations. This made this city the new home of witches, and Mama Nico decided to settle there because predicting requires a lot of magical energy, so she stays there to increase her energy until she reaches the full prophecy to understand what is happening to her daughter. Thus, she was asking Mui to protect her daughter during this time, saying he had always helped her since they were kids, so she hopes he takes good care of her daughter. Later, Nico wanted Mui to help her carry the items, but he told her she needed to take some responsibility and move them herself, which made her understand that Mui's sense of responsibility had increased when he read her mother's letter. Nico was going to use magic, but Mui told her not to do that because of the side effects that occurred when they used spells and told her not to use magic for these matters. She told him she had a spell without side effects and began to use it. When it ended, another version of Nico appeared, but when Mai looked closer, he noticed that Nico and her copy had become shorter. When Nico tried to carry a package, she couldn't, so she asked the other copy to help her, which made Mui angry. He said, "You didn't do anything, and this spell is a failure. There are two of you, yet you can only carry one package." Mui thought to himself that he should watch the two copies instead of just one and was frustrated with this situation. Then, Nico thought about splitting the two copies into two more copies to get the job done faster, and indeed there were 4 copies of her, but they could also only carry one box, which made Mui even angrier. In the end, he decided to carry the packages himself and finish the task quickly. Nico's copies were teasing Mui, and he then said that they should return to just one version, but she told him, "Wait a moment." He agreed and went back to finish reading the letter. He reached the part where Mama Nico stated that she had reached a new prophecy, and that a dog and raindrops would cause a disaster. At that moment, he heard Nico's screams as a dog chased her. He rushed to save her, and the dog bit him on the shoulder while protecting her. Then the dog's owner arrived, apologizing, saying the dog got away from him. Mui angrily told him, "No problem. I know this is common, but if it happens again, I won't ignore it." The dog and its owner felt scared and ran away quickly. Nico and her version were clinging to Mui in fear, and they decided to return to the original version. After that, Nico began to apologize, crying since everything that happened was her fault, and it ended up hurting Mui, but he reassured her, saying he was alright. Later, Nico went to prepare some coffee for Mui. Meanwhile, Mui opened the spell that Nico's mother sent and read in the letter that if the seal disappeared from the spell, it meant the disaster had occurred. But if it didn't disappear, it meant what happened was a normal problem. Mui began to think about what disaster could come from a dog and raindrops and started following the news to check the weather. Indeed, by nightfall, it was raining, and someone was watching Mui's house from outside. Later, Mui and Nico went out to buy red beans, as this was the means to restore Nico's power. He asked her why she went out in this weather, to which she replied she didn't have a choice. He said she could have stayed at home. Why did she come with him? At that moment, Mui was about to speak about the prophecy, but then said it didn't matter, and suggested they return home. Mui was thinking of a way to tell Nico about the prophecy, so she could be cautious, and he could protect her more, while she was talking about anime, which he wasn't interested in. When she noticed this, she scolded him, saying, "I'm sorry, please repeat what you were saying." She said, "The anime is about a dog," which shocked him, and he grabbed her tightly, asking, "Which dog?" Nico was annoyed by what happened while all Mui could think about was how to protect Nico on rainy days. So, he requested Nico come under his umbrella, which surprised and pleased her at the same time, and she hoped someone would see them. Indeed, her friend Kara spotted them and asked Mui, "Why are you holding her under one umbrella? Are you flirting, or what?" Kara wanted Nico to go shopping with her, but Nico refused. After that, they continued on their way, and Nico noticed they weren't heading home, so she asked if they were going somewhere? Mui said yes, and shortly after, they arrived at an open place. Nico thought Mui would confess his love to her, but suddenly Mui yelled at someone hiding, saying, "You're bad at hiding. Come out now," leaving Nico shocked that someone was chasing them. Nico thought it was someone interested in her, but Mui told her it was nothing like that. When the person emerged, they were wearing a dog mask resembling her favorite anime character, but Mui recalled the prophecy and felt worried, wondering who this person was. Suddenly, this person attacked Mui, and a fight broke out. Mui said the person was fast but still weaker than him, and he could win. Then the stranger pulled out a stick and used a wind attack, knocking Mui away. At that point, Mui decided to use all his strength and unleashed a strong fire attack, but it turned out to be a feint. He managed to grab the stranger from behind, saying, "I don't care about killing you. All I care about is knowing your identity." When he removed the mask, the stranger was someone unusual, but Nico recognized him well. His name was Tengu. The person showed a sad expression as Nico couldn't recognize him from his fighting style. Then Nico introduced this person, saying, "This guy's name is Tengu. He was present at the place where I used to train." Mui was shocked, and Tengu said, "I apologize, Ogre, but I was testing your strength and your ability to protect Nico. I came here to protect Nico as well. I am her familiar from the Crow faction. I am its companion from the Crow species." After that, they all went home, and Tengu was very happy to see Nico after a long time, while Moi seemed upset. Moi tried to talk to Tengu and called out to him several times, but Tengu ignored him and only spoke to Nico. They talked about their memories and how they met in the mountains when Tengu's dad and Nico's dad became friends. That's when Tengu and Nico easily built their friendship and played a lot when they were kids. Then, Tengu started talking about Nico in an embarrassing way, making her blush and wanting him to stop. That's when Moi interrupted them and said to Tengu, "You still haven't talked about the important things, which is what brought you here." This made Tengu say, "You're so boring and annoying." Then Tengu explained that he was here because Nico asked him in the past to be her guardian. At that time, Tengu had finished his special burger sandwich and wanted another one, so Moi went to get him another. When he finished it, he got close to Tengu and threw it at his forehead, causing it to burn, and Tengu yelled, "Moi, are you blind? What did you do?" Moi, looking coldly at him, said, "Your forehead was so big I thought it was a plate." Then Moi said to him, "Forget about that and tell me, if you're really a guardian being for Nico, then why were you hiding?" Tenjo said to him, "I don't talk to ghouls." Moi then said, "If you don't talk, I'll make you talk my way." Tengu nervously asked, "How are you going to do that?" Moi got angry and asked Nico to use any spell to make Tengu talk. Then Nico turned Tengu's umbrella into a talking object to find out the truth. The umbrella said that in the past, goblins and Tengu were like oil and water, always separate and never mixing. But now, that relationship had settled a bit. Tengu got angry and asked Nico what she did. She told him she used a spell to make inanimate objects talk. Moi then understood what was happening and said to Tengu, "So you're hostile toward me because of this? That's annoying. This is the first time I've heard of it, but I heard about Tengu from my dad, so you're not strange to me." Tengu angrily replied, "That's what I mean. You goblins always downplay Tengu and don't care about them at all." Moi looked at him coldly and Tengu said, "Stop looking at me with those cold eyes, or I might cry." "What's wrong with you, goblin? Why do you treat me like this? Tengu always gets hurt and dies while goblins don't care about them at all." Moi then said to him, "Your reasons for hating me are trivial. You say your dad told you not to lose before goblins because they always get praised in fairy tales. Even in anime, they call him the Demon Slayer. Why do they call him Demon Slayer and not Tengu Slayer? I say your dad was very into reading manga because the best thing for him was seeing demons being cut, and his favorite character was the demon. Tengu's drink was called Goblin Slayer." Moi then got angry and told him, "I've heard enough about your dad. Why are you talking to me about someone who loves reading manga about slaying demons? All of this doesn't concern me. Just tell me why you were hiding." Tengu said, "I wanted to do something great, which is to protect Nico without needing a goblin, because if I did this, all the glory would be mine, and Tengu's reputation would rise, and all goblins would bow to us." Moi then said, "So that's why you were all geared up on this rainy day." Nico then said to him, "You always protected me, even when I was in school. Thank you for what you did, Kan." It seems Kan was his real name. Then Quan said, "No worries. I'm a member of the accompanying creatures anyway, and if fate calls me, I will respond." Just then, the umbrella said, "Don't be fooled by what he says. I'll tell you the real reason behind what he does, which is that Miss Ibuki paid off all his debts, and now he owes her a lot of money." Khan then grabbed the umbrella and shut its mouth. After that, signs of regret appeared on Khan, and he started telling the truth that he was spending all his money on games and trivial things, and borrowing money from everyone he knew until he found himself drowning in debt. When he tried to escape, Nico's mom intervened and paid off his debts. She's a wonderful woman. Nico then said she would go prepare some tea. After that, Khan pulled out a paper and told Moi that since Nico wasn't there now, he wanted him to know about this prophecy, which said there was an enemy in the school. Moi then said, if there's a disaster, it won't be an accident or illness. Someone is targeting Nico. Kwan said, yes, that's why I've been watching Nico since the beginning of the school year, and it has to remain a secret from her because if she finds out, it will stress her relationships with her classmates, and she'll take a dark path. Then Khan said to Nico, how do you live with a goblin like him? He looks grumpy and will ruin the food with his frown. He can't prepare anything. Moi then angrily said, what are you talking about? I finished all the food I prepared, and that was all we had. Aren't you embarrassed? Khan replied, why should I be embarrassed? This is our first meeting, but me and Nico are childhood friends. Moi said, but you're sitting in my house now. Khan replied, that doesn't matter. We are now personal guardians, and we need to discuss some matters. Moi said, one guardian is enough. Get out of here. Khan retorted, but I'm stronger than you. Then Moi said, do you want to prove that outside? Things started to get tense between them, but Nico intervened and said that the fights and bad relationships between Tengu and goblins were in the past and that they shouldn't follow the same path. Moi said, but he is the one who keeps bothering me. As for the Tengu clan, I don't care about them at all. They don't matter to me, and I don't give them any consideration. Kwan then started crying and said, I hate goblins so much. Then he ran away. Nico was upset about that and said, why is your relationship like this? Then she had an idea as he would cast a spell on the food, and if two people ate it, they would become close friends. After that, Khan came back looking sad and upset. He started talking, but Nico interrupted him and said, don't worry, it's mealtime now. Let's eat. There was only one box of snacks, which shocked Moi and Khan. Nico said, no complaints. When Khan tried to eat, Nico told him to wait until Moi eats first. Moi was shocked, and Nico said, just trust me. Indeed, Moi ate the snacks, and then he tried to give some to Nico, but she refused. Moi was surprised by what was happening, and then told Moi to give the snacks to Khan. As Khan ate the snacks, Moi began to feel something strange, and when Khan finished eating, Moi told him, you're a really nice guy, Kai. It seems the spell was wrong because after that, Moi started doing strange things and felt nervous, not understanding what was going on because he showed signs more like love than friendship. Nico was shocked by the result while Khan tried to distance himself from Moi. The more Khan kept eating, the stranger Moi felt, wanting Khan to bring his shoulder closer to him. Khan didn't understand what was happening and wanted Nico to help him, but she said, honestly, I want to see you two getting close. Then Khan reached his limit and started to run away. While he was running, he saw two sad children because their balloon was stuck in a tree. He helped them get their balloon, and during this, he dropped his snacks. When the child tried to tell Khan this, Khan said, don't worry, you can take it. When the children ate the snacks, it had the same effect on them and Khan as it had on Moi, and they all wanted to touch shoulders. Nico was searching for them, and when she found them, they were all touching each other's shoulders. After that, they returned home, and Nico tried to apologize because she didn't think this would happen. Khan was angry, but Nico kept saying she just wanted them to get along. Then the doorbell rang. Nico went to open the door and suddenly screamed. Moi and Kan rushed to her side, and when they looked at her, she was in pain, telling them that after she opened the door, she went to put on some clothes her mother had sent her. Suddenly, the outfit became tight, and then a figure with eyes appeared and started talking, saying, oh, daughter of the witch, I finally caught you. Her father was shocked and said that the enemy could use magic, which surprised him. When he tried to get closer to Nico, the outfit tightened even more, and Nico was in pain. Then the monster spoke, saying it could control the size and rigidity of the outfit, and now it had Nico's hands bound, so she wouldn't be able to use any spells, having been completely overpowered. This magical monster then kidnapped Nico and began flying away with her. Moi tried to follow, but Khan calmed him down, telling him to wait a bit and asking how he would catch someone who could fly. He said to leave it to him. Kan then used his power to control all the crows nearby, and told Moi that all the crows were his friends and would provide them with all the information they needed. Kan asked one of the crows if it had seen a girl flying, and the crow replied positively and started flying towards her. Kan and Moi then began to follow the crows to reach Nico. Nico was trying to escape from the monster, but to no avail. She then said she was sure Moi would come to save her and started remembering how whenever she got into trouble, Moi always found her and saved her. Back in the present, Amuri managed to reach Nico, but the monster said it was draining Nico's energy in order to fly, and that they wouldn't be able to catch it. Moi asked Kan if he could fly since he was of the crow lineage, but Kan told him that they had lost their wings just like the goblins lost their horns after several generations. Then the umbrella showed up and started scolding them for leaving her behind, but Kan told her that Nico was in danger. Suddenly, Moi came up with a plan, remembering how Khan had used his power and knocked it down. He looked at Khan and said they had to cooperate. They began to work together, and Amori was able to reach Nico. The monster then transformed into a hard outfit and told Moi he wouldn't be able to do anything to him now. But Moi replied that he was waiting for this moment. He attacked strongly and defeated the monster, successfully rescuing Nico, but they were about to fall to the ground. Kan then activated the wind power again and managed to save them. However, Moi fell hard, telling Kan that he did it on purpose. Then he started looking at the outfit, which had transformed into fabric, wondering what the monster really wanted. Nico thanked Moi, saying, "Thank you. You always save me from the problems I cause." Moi replied that this time it wasn't her fault, and they needed to be more careful from now on. Then Kan whispered to him that this monster wasn't the catastrophe, because when they looked at the paper with the seal, they found that the seal was intact and hadn't faded. This meant that this monster wasn't the catastrophe, and was also not related to the prophecy of rain and the dog. Nico was upset, asking if these things would happen repeatedly. Moi reassured her not to worry, saying they would be by her side and she shouldn't care about anything. While they were talking, Khan surprised them by saying he would move in with them. Of course, Moi and Nico were shocked, and he said he wouldn't be stubborn anymore since this was the main plan, and from that day on, they all had to cooperate to make everything fine. Nico was happy about this, but Moi was curious, asking if this was the main plan. Where had he been living? Kan was shocked by this question and didn't know what to say, but the Umbrella spoke up, saying he had lived in a rented apartment and spent all his money on entertainment and trivialities, which is why he had run out of money. Moi said he knew he had run out of money and had come to intrude on them without any plan. Kan was trying to take revenge on the Umbrella for what it had done and was trying to stop it. On the other hand, Nico was happy, saying the two of them were starting to get along. Then Khan started to speak, saying that the problem between the Tingo and the Yegalan was ingrained within him because he was raised this way, and forgetting about it would take some time and a lot of getting used to. But for now, they needed to deal with this problem. Moi said that for him, there was no issue, and he held no grudge. Nico then told him that he should care for Kan because he's a hard worker who takes responsibility and is also a good cook, doing everything perfectly, which made him dependable, and he didn't need anyone to care for him. So, she believed he needed someone like Kan. Kan didn't understand the intent, and Nico was reminiscing about past events when Moi and Kan said they didn't need any friends. Nico said they were both lonely but hated to admit it, and she thought this would be a good opportunity to fix things, but they were still denying it. After that, they were on their way home, having bought some things and were arguing about them. Then they saw the kids whom Kan had helped before, and it seemed Kan had become their friend and earned their goodwill. It appeared they weren't the only ones, as many people started talking to Kan and thanking him for his help. Khan seemed to have gained a lot of popularity in the neighborhood for being friendly and having excellent communication skills. Later, we saw them at home with Kan and Moi strengthening their friendship while playing cards, and everything seemed to be going well. The next day, we see that Nico is very impressed with Coco's manga drawing, and her voice is so loud that the teacher hears the name of the manga she mentioned, Sarab Oron. It seems the teacher knows about it too, as it's a famous manga where high school boys wield swords and defeat monsters. This manga gained popularity due to the handsome characters, plot development, and battles. Nico was saying that the boys looked really cool now. After that, they started praising Coco's artwork, which had improved a lot. The teacher was listening to the girls' conversation and mentioned that she had followed all the drawings related to that manga because it's a hobby of hers. How could she not have heard about Coco's drawing? After Coco said she had 0 followers, the teacher started narrowing down her search until she found Coco, realizing she was one of Coco's special fans on social media. Of course, neither of them knew this, as otaku life is different online, and most of them hide their identities. Meanwhile, the teacher was lost in her thoughts about the manga when the girls came to check on her, which made her nervous. She said she had come to take some things she'd forgotten. During the conversation, she noticed Coco's drawing, which caught her attention a lot, but she hid her reaction and told the girls to head home quickly before leaving. On her way, she thought about Coco, feeling that she was her favorite artist. Later, we see the teacher alone, looking at Coco's drawing and thinking to herself about how much Coco had improved. She knew this because she had been following her for a long time and was one of the first fans of her page. She felt a great sense of pride in her student Coco for developing so much and staying on the right path. She began to outline all the details of Coco's drawing development, concluding that the most important thing is interpreting character relationships in art. Then, she started explaining the sad events that happened between the manga characters and the developments in the story. Due to the pacing pacing and strength of the plot, there was a huge fandom and significant interaction regarding the manga, especially in chapter 35, which was the beginning of the story's uprising until the events reached their peak in chapter 57. Then she started recalling details of Coco's drawing, mentioning that it has many exciting details and dialogues between characters. She said she had never seen a similar drawing and was sure that many would imitate Coco's style in the near future. While thanking Coco for reigniting her passion, Coco suddenly appeared next to her, which startled the teacher. Coco told her that she needed her help with some paperwork, but the teacher declined, still affected by the manga topic. After that, she tried to gather her composure, took the papers from Coco, and saw the drawings and news related to the manga, which amazed her even more. She tried to hide her reaction again, saying that the drawings were good, then realized she needed to end the conversation to avoid revealing herself. Without meaning to, she nervously asked Coco if she liked drawing. Coco burst out excitedly, saying yes, and that she was an otaku who loved anime and manga. After that, Coco asked the same question to the teacher, who became very anxious and started shouting that she had nothing to do with manga or anime or anything related. Coco then retorted, "But how can you say that when on the first day of class you were talking about anime?" The teacher then said she maybe read a little manga, but what revealed her further was the manga volumes beside her. Coco noticed this. Then Coco started asking the teacher more about what she liked in manga, and the teacher tried to dodge the question, but in the end, she responded. Coco was excited and exchanged answers, elaborating on manga events in detail. Afterward, Coco realized she needed to stop and apologized. Then Coco reminded the teacher of the main reason she came here. The teacher dropped an Oron medal. This left the teacher feeling embarrassed and shocked since everything started to reveal her. The teacher tried to cover it up again, but Coco stopped her, saying, "Why are you hiding it? I, for instance, am not embarrassed about it and don't hide it because I learned that revealing one's true self gives a comforting feeling. That's why I want to discuss manga with you more, teacher." The teacher was amazed by Coco and didn't know what to say, but in the end, she surrendered, saying she also loved manga and wanted to discuss it more. Coco was thrilled and said she expected this. Then we move on to Nico and Moi, who were sitting with a student who seemed to have issues. He wanted Nico to make him invisible so no one could see or feel him. However, Moi and Nico opposed this, saying that what the boy wanted wasn't right. Moi wanted him to be brave and face his fears, because what he wanted was called running away. But Nico interrupted them, saying that new witches become real witches by helping people. Therefore, if that was this student's wish, she wanted to fulfill it for him. In the end, it turned out that all he wanted was a spell to make him invisible when going to the bathroom, which shocked Moi and Quan. The student tried to explain that he was bullied for frequently going to the school bathroom when he was younger, and the boys would tease him, making him feel embarrassed. Nico, Moi, and Quan empathized with him and understood the matter. They were talking about Nico, and it seemed they forgot about her when suddenly they felt her presence again. It turned out she had cast a spell on herself to make herself almost invisible so no one could notice her. She said she would cast the spell on the student Hara as well, and indeed, she did. Hara thought he had become invisible, but they told him he was still visible. Nico explained to him how to use the spell, and when he followed her instructions, he really disappeared to them and understood how to execute the spell correctly. Then they went to class, and Hara looked very tired and had a stomachache. It seemed it was time to go to the bathroom, so he decided to use the spell, with Moi encouraging him. But there was a problem: he didn't know if the spell would work. He tried to stand up, making noise, but no one noticed. That was when he realized he was invisible and began sneaking to the bathroom. He managed to leave the class with difficulty and was crying from happiness that the spell had worked. However, afterward, he faced another problem. His gym teacher, who had heightened senses, was about to catch him by his scent, but Moi intervened and saved him at the last moment, distracting the teacher, and Hara succeeded in going to the bathroom. However, he was faced with another challenge. He couldn't pull his pants down because if he moved his hands, the spell would end and everyone would notice his disappearance. But what saved him was the bell signaling the end of class, and he finally managed to go to the bathroom. He thought the other students would bully him since they noticed he was in the bathroom. However, they had grown up and apologized instead. After that, Hera went to Nico, thanked her, and told her he wouldn't feel embarrassed anymore and would raise his hand and go to the bathroom normally from now on. He then apologized to Nico for making her use her magic for a silly matter, but she told him that she loved helping people, and that was the most important thing for her. Suddenly, Nico's magic stone appeared, indicating that she had improved by helping Hara, and everyone was happy about this. Then we see a strange girl watching them from a tree outside the school. After that, they left to go home, and there was a cat watching them. As they walked, the teacher appeared, and it seemed seemed he needed help. They went with him to his car, and he said every time he tried to start the engine, a cat kept making him stop. At that moment, Moi lifted the car, and the cat ran away scared, solving the problem. The teacher and students were amazed at his strength. It later turned out that the cat was the same girl who had been watching them, named Nemo. She was staring at Moi, saying she wanted to make him her familiar. Then one of the students asked if she was looking for someone, which made her nervous, and she ran away. Then we moved to Quan, who was teasing Moi. Moi asked him, "Why all this? Are you still jealous of me or what?" Quan tried to deny this, saying he was angry that people relied on Moi. That's when Moi confirmed that Quan was jealous of him. Even Nico was acting strange, and it seemed both of them were jealous of him. Nico felt frustrated because she wanted to help people like Moi. Then Quan noticed the cat and tried to befriend it with Nico, but it kept distancing itself and was angry. She thought to herself that her goal was Moi, because he was known in their community for having gained the chi power at a young age. It was a shock for her when she found out he became Nico's familiar, because that was different from the norm. She thought Nico had cheated to make him her familiar and was very jealous of her. But this girl was very sad because she was extremely shy and couldn't talk to boys, blaming herself for it, thinking she was a gloomy person and maybe she should go back home again. However, she decided not to give up, saying she would change and make Moi her familiar so that her mother would recognize her as part of the elite family. After that, we see Nemo following them home, entering with them, and sitting next to Moi. Nico was trying to befriend her and touched her, which made Nemo feel a chill, causing her to run away. Quan also tried to befriend her, but she ran away from him too. Suddenly, she found herself standing on Moi's feet and felt her heart racing. At that moment, Moi said he had a lot of experience raising cats, and that he loved taking care of them. So, he would show Quan and Nico how to deal with the cat. Indeed, he started petting Nemo gently, making her feel comfortable, and she wasn't bothered by Moi's approach or touch at all. She completely relaxed, thinking to herself that it was the first time she felt this sensation. Nico and Quan felt jealous of Moi for being able to charm even cats, while Nemo was completely relaxed and feeling safe. She remembered that the ancestors of the monster spirits were tigers, so she tried to escape from Moi, but she couldn't because she was entirely relaxed. However, she needed to get away from under his hand, because if she fell asleep, the transformation magic would end, and she would turn back into her human form, revealing her identity. But she had no power left until she fell asleep and transformed back into a human, shocking everyone. Surprisingly, they were shocked because Quan had completed his game collection and had not noticed Nemo's transformation back into a human. At that moment, Nemo slipped away, managing to escape, but Moi said he felt he would see her again soon. Then we see Nemo feeling exhausted from running away, saying that the next time she sees Moi, she will make him her familiar. We see Nico using her magic to make a girl confess her love for her friend, but Nico warns that what she has right now is just a charm, and there's no guarantee it will work. The girl is very happy and says that the guarantee doesn't matter. What matters is that you're a real witch, and that makes me optimistic. Then she leaves. After she leaves, Nico starts to think, and in that moment, we see someone behind Nico who witnessed everything. Then the scene changes. The next day, Moi suddenly asks Nico about her weight. Nico hears this and panics, asking him why he's asking that. Moi starts explaining that it's important because your weight should match your height, and it's good for your health. And since I'm your guardian, it's my responsibility. Upon hearing that, Nico says you can't ask any girl about her weight, which confuses Moi. He promises to be more careful with his questions in the future. Then, Nico notices that all the girls are focusing their attention on Moi, and she starts feeling jealous because his popularity is increasing, which could be a danger for her. Then the scene shifts to home, where Moi is practicing catching falling leaves with his eyes closed. Nico is really surprised that he can catch leaves skillfully without seeing them. Moi tells her that through this training, he's increasing the power of his senses. Nico wishes her other senses were just as sharp, but Moi doesn't understand what she means. Kenshi, who overheard their conversation, starts asking Nico at night if they're not dating yet, which triggers a bomb of shyness in Nico's mind. Kenshi says her feelings are very clear, so he's definitely noticed. But in Moi's case, Nico says it's fair to say he's a strange person. They've spent all these days together, but he's still the same. Every day he wakes up, drinks coffee, and does his routine tasks. This makes Kenshi suggest an idea to Nico to help her give Moi some hints. Then they see a commercial for shampoo on TV, where a girl's hair is flowing. Kenshi comes up with an idea. The next day at school, Kenshi starts explaining his plan, where Nico will wave her hair in front of Moi during lunch break. Kenshi will use his air magic to make Nico's hair float around, making Nico look more attractive. Then we see the lunch break scene, where Nico and Kenshi are hiding and waiting for Moi. When Moi enters, Nico starts signaling to Kenshi. With a gust of wind, Nico comes in, and when Moi sees her, he marvels and says, "Why is there wind?" Even his eyes seem lifeless. After seeing Moi's eyes, Nico begins signaling more to strengthen the wind. On the other hand, Kenshi is very excited and manages to understand the signals, enhancing the wind to the point where Nico starts to float, like a ghost, which scares Moi. On the other side, Moi starts wondering what is happening. Meanwhile, Nico asks if she looks beautiful. Suddenly their teacher comes in, who feels worried when she sees Nico in that state. But thanks to the strong wind, the girls' measurement papers fly into the air. When the girls hear that, they become scared. At that moment, Moi jumps and collects all the papers without looking, making the girls admire him and become even more attracted to him. Meanwhile, Nico's plan has completely failed. Even when they return home, all the girls are bidding farewell to Moi, making Nico feel even more jealous. She tells him he has become more popular among people, and he must be very happy about it. Moi replies that he doesn't care because he is only focused on his goal and training since childhood, so he doesn't have many friends, which makes Nico feel relieved to hear this. Then the scene changes to the next day, where someone comes to Nico wanting to talk to her. When she tells her friends, they go crazy because they realize he definitely wants to confess his love for her. He wants to meet her during lunch break, but Nico doesn't feel that something like this would happen. When she hears her friends saying, "For sure this will happen because you've become the talk of the town since you're a witch and friendly and beautiful too," they start talking about rumors about a field trip. There's a tree for lovers, and if there's a couple having lunch there, they'll stay together forever. When Nico hears that, she starts to blush, and Kara feels bad because she wants a boyfriend. On the other hand, we see Kenshi listening to everything said from above the tree. When he returns home, Kashi tells Nico that she should confess her feelings to Moi during the field trip. Upon hearing this, Nico breaks down and rejects the idea, but Kenshi reprimands her, saying she helps everyone but not herself. Nico says she feels Moi doesn't care about a girl like her, but that she's just a familiar person to Moi. So, the best thing might be to focus on becoming a suitable witch. But after hearing this nonsense, Kashi becomes angry and starts yelling at her. He tells her not to fool him, saying she loves him and can't run away from it for long. Nico then starts to explain, while she's breaking down, how she felt last time when she looked into Moi's cold eyes. She realized that he isn't interested in her at all. When she looks in his eyes, it feels like the light doesn't even reflect. Upon hearing this, Kenshi agrees too. He tells her that when he asked Moi about his feelings towards Nico, he said he sees her as a sister and someone close, so it's his responsibility to protect her without feelings, as feelings might interfere with her protection. When Nico hears that, she breaks down because Kenshi had asked Moi about his feelings. Kenshi clarifies that protecting Nico is Moi's job and responsibility, which is why he hides his true feelings from her, but Nico doesn't take his comments seriously. Then we see the field trip scene the next day, where Nico tells Moi about that person who invited her under the love tree. Despite hearing this, Moi shows no shift in his expression. He says, "Okay, that's fine. During that time, I won't give you any protection." Upon hearing this, Nico is greatly shocked. She says, "Don't you have a problem with someone else confessing his love to me?" He tells her no, even if she gets a new boyfriend. He says he would be happy for her since she's enjoying her school life as a normal student, not as a witch. Nico responds that it's because no one bullies her anymore and walks away. As Nico walks away, we see Moi looking somewhat unhappy. Then lunchtime arrives. He notices a bag with a famous emblem on it, and he's interested. He goes over and talks to the bag's owner, and it turns out it belonged to a famous band. It seems Moi is also a big fan of this band. Since Moi and the other guy, who's called Kagami, have very similar tastes, they indirectly become friends. After the conversation ends, Moi leaves. Nico had been watching Moi from afar. Then, another girl, Moss, approaches, wanting to talk to him, but he doesn't know her. She introduces herself. On the other side, we see Nico thinking about how to politely reject the boy as she heads toward a tree. When she gets there, she finds a huge number of couples, and the place is very crowded. The guys are holding similar signs with the names of their admirers. When Nico sees her name, she realizes that a number of people who admire her have come with the boy, Ishi. Nico thought all those boys admired her, but the truth is everyone came to get the love charm. When Nico sees this, she panics. She starts saying that the rumors they heard aren't true, but her rumors had spread so much that people started believing she could make the charm attract anyone. When Nico hears this, she panics even more and starts running, but everyone follows her. To avoid the situation, Nico uses her magic and shrinks. Then she flies away, but while she's flying, she bumps into someone and lands in their pocket. But who could this be other than Moi? After Nico realizes what's going on, she notices a girl wanting to confess her love to Moi, but Moi doesn't react at all. He starts saying he doesn't know her, but she tells him that she's seen him several times at the station and that he helps many elderly people. But even so, Moi has no feelings for her. He does this because he doesn't know the girl. When Nico hears that, she feels very happy, but she thinks he shouldn't tell the girl that directly so he doesn't hurt her feelings. But after hearing his talk, that girl becomes even more attracted to Moi because he was honest. She starts asking questions. Do you have a girlfriend? And do you love anyone? Moi answers that he doesn't have anyone like that. When Nico hears that, she feels really bad. But then, Moi tells her that he does have someone he considers very precious to him. When Nico hears that, she realizes that he's talking about her, and she starts to feel embarrassed. Then the girl asks if there was any moment in the past that made him feel like he loves this person. After hearing that, Nico remembers the moment she started loving Moi. We see a scene from the past where Nico was crying on the garden steps and Moi was with her. She was crying because her dad was going to leave her because he didn't agree with her mother, and Nico loved her family very much. Then, the moment that caused her family problems is shown, where Nico couldn't control her magic and destroyed half of her house. And Moi saw this and was very surprised, and Nico starts crying and tells them that people hate her because of her powers. Even her dad was going to leave her. But at that moment, Moi suddenly hugs her and tells her that he's with her. When Nico hears that, she feels very embarrassed and happy at the same time, and from that moment, she started loving Moi and thanked him for reassuring her. But then, Moi says that he also has a moment he remembers. Then he leaves. Nico realizes that her magic will end soon, and if she doesn't get out of there, she'll return to normal, and it'll be bad. So, she quickly tries to get out and flies away. But the wind is against her, so she falls off the broom and returns to her normal size and starts falling. When Moi sees her falling, he's shocked and immediately catches her. The spark of love ignites between them again, and he asks Nico, "What are you doing here?" Nico replies that she was practicing her magic. Meanwhile, Kenshi was watching their romantic moment from afar, from up in a tree. But suddenly, an old man comes and orders Kenshi to get down from the tree. Kenshi apologizes to him. The old man tells him that if he wants to climb something, he should climb his dreams to reach a high place. Anyway, the man asks Kenshi what he's doing here. Kenshi tells him that there were a lot of couples under the tree, so he felt suffocated and went away from them. When the uncle hears that, he starts talking about the rumors that are still spreading a lot. But he points out that this isn't the real love tree. When Kenshi hears that, he's surprised. But suddenly an old woman comes and speaks to the old man, and the man talks about how the rumor started. Then, the man points toward the real love tree, and says that if two lovers eat under it, they will get married and live together forever. Kenshi laughs wickedly, and seems to have an idea. Then two girls come and ask about Nico, but he tells them he doesn't know, and suggests they go with him to have lunch under the lover's tree. Nico, who was recording a video with Khan, looked very shy. There wasn't anything special happening, they just wanted to sing a song. After the song started, Moi appeared and started yelling at them because it was late and he wanted to sleep. We know they were doing all this to post the video on YouTube. Then, they explained to Moi that they had started a YouTube channel and thought they could make money easily. But Moi said they were stupid and couldn't become famous that easily. However, their confidence was very high. All they cared about was making money. Moi asked who the idiot was that told them this, and they mentioned their YouTube teacher, from whom they got all this information. Moi said the teacher looked dumb when he saw him. After that, he started checking their channel, which had very few subscribers. They also had no views at all. Even the thumbnail they used wasn't attractive. Next, he started watching their videos. The videos were terrible and awful. Khan was recording the video at the wrong angle, so there was no clear view of the game. At the same time, he was talking nonsense excessively. On the other hand, Nico was dancing to children's songs, which was very embarrassing for Moi, and he couldn't watch anymore. Then, he watched an unboxing video where they struggled to open a box for some item. After seeing all these things, Moi started freaking out. He started telling them that if they continued posting videos this way, they would never be able to make money. To attract viewers to their videos, they needed to do something special that people would like. After that, he started checking the comments written by their classmates. Someone named Arashi in their class was criticizing them in the comments, which angered Khan. Another person said their ideas weren't special at all, and were also nonsense. After seeing all this, Moi advised them to post content that showed their talent and features. But Nico said they didn't have any talent. Khan suggested using their charm. After hearing that, Moi got angry and said that definitely wouldn't happen. But he told them that if they were serious about posting videos, he could talk to someone for them. Then, we moved to school, where they were talking to Megami, whom Moi met during a trip. Although they weren't good friends, they managed to talk to each other. After that, Megami started embarrassing them a bit. He told them that even if they watched his videos, they wouldn't understand anything because his videos were were diverse, and sometimes he made film reviews. Then, he started referring to himself as a weirdo. After hearing everything he said, Khan started getting angry. But Megami didn't stop there. He started talking about how long he had been making videos. Khan was stomping his foot on the ground in anger. Megami said that after making many mistakes, he had learned a lot of things. After listening to him, Khan lost it and started yelling at Megami, grabbing his hair and telling him to show them his videos right away, which upset Megami. After all this nonsense, finally, the main topic came up, and Megami showed them his channel. There was nothing special about it because he only had 83 subscribers. After that, they started watching Megami's videos. The videos were visually and from a camera angle perspective great, but at the same time, Megami was talking a lot of nonsense about the films and directors, saying a lot of unimportant details more than half the time. Khan even sped up the video and got very angry because he wasn't convinced. Despite all that, Moi was convinced by the videos. Moi praised Megami's channel and told Khan and Nico that Megami's channel was better than theirs, which had nothing special about it. Moi asked Megami to teach these two idiots some things to improve their channel's content. Then, they watched a popular video of Megami's where he programmed a game, but even then, people were bullying him in the comments because the game was nonsense. Additionally, Megami wasn't stopping his illogical talk, but at that moment, Moi had an idea. Then we moved to Moi's house, where Moi came with Megami and his equipment to film a new video. Megami brought them some gifts that only he understood, which surprised them. Then they decided to start filming a video where Nico would appear playing a game. Moi brought the green screen, which made them see that Moi was taking the matter seriously. Although the video was about games, Khan had no role in it. Moi asked Khan to step away. Then we see Moi and Megami editing the video. After a long time of work and editing, the video was great. It was a commentary by Nico on a game in a way that had emotion and sarcasm. Then the video was finally uploaded to YouTube. Moi and Megami did a great job editing the video to the point that Nico thought the video was excellent. The video achieved over 5,000 views, and people even loved it. This made both Khan and Nico thank Moi, who looked tired. Then Moi started explaining that if they used each other's strengths, they would be able to make great videos, like Megami's expertise, Khan's voice, and Nico's charm. After that, Nico became very happy. Then they started making more beautiful videos that performed great. But after several days, Moi asked what video they would film today. But the shock was that Nico and Kwan felt bored, which angered Moi, and he said that they were the type to only imitate others and not persevere. With that, their dream of becoming famous YouTubers ended. After a few days, we find ourselves at a school scene where Suzuka comes to Nico to tell her that today it's Nico's turn to write down the details of the class. Hiko thinks to herself that Suzuka is very beautiful inside and out, and she comes from a prestigious family. Tiko wishes to be like her so that Mui would love her. However, when Nico checks the notebook, she discovers that Suzuka's handwriting is terrible. Then we see Suzuka talking about herself, mentioning that she can't do anything right. Even though she knows everything, she can't execute it properly. She also says that her grandmother taught her everything, but whenever Suzuka tries to do something, it automatically messes up. Even when she cared for a plant, it looked like someone had placed a ruinous spell on it. She even ruined the food, and Nico comments that the food looks good and the chicken looks appetizing, but it turns out it's not chicken, shocking Mui and Nico. Suddenly, Suzuka asks Nico to use her magic to give her all the skills, promising to give her whatever money she wants in return. However, Nico explains that her spells aren't permanent. Suzuka insists she'll accept a temporary spell because she needs to pass her grandmother's tea ceremony test. If she doesn't succeed, she'll have to study all the time. After hearing this, they start thinking because the test will be extremely difficult. Nico mentions that she doesn't have a spell to make her skilled, but has another idea. She asks Mui and Suzuka to extend their hands, then she casts a spell. We see that whatever Mui does, Suzuka automatically replicates. This leaves them all amazed. Then Nico tells them that she will cast the spell on their entire bodies on the day of the test, and with Mui's help, who will be the one to pass the test from another room, Suzuka will also be able to succeed. Mui starts telling them that he has no idea about the tea ceremony test, but it seems in the end, he has to agree. After that, he begins to learn everything about the tea ceremony diligently. Then we see that before the day of the test, they are preparing, and Gan mentions that Mui is taking the matter very seriously. Also, Megami, who decided he would help them using glasses with a camera, which would help Mui see everything happening in the other room. But suddenly, Suzuka comes in panicked, telling them them that her grandmother has changed her schedule and will conduct the test today, leaving them in shock. After that, they are forced to sit down without any training. Mui had prepared his position so that both sides would be synchronized. On the other hand, Suzuka's grandmother states that Suzuka needs to succeed so as not to bring shame to their family. If she fails, bad things will happen to her, but Suzuka doesn't respond to anything. Here, Nico tells Mui that he must answer for Suzuka. This shocks Mui, and he exclaims in disbelief, "Are our mouths synchronized too?" At which point Suzuka screams the same thing. Upon witnessing this, the grandmother is shocked and starts scolding Suzuka, saying she is a reckless girl and that things were much stricter in her day. Mui is tense, thinking to himself that this is very difficult without any training. After that, Mui begins to answer every question with, "Yes, Grandma," without thinking. When the grandmother asked, "Did I annoy you?" Mui replied, "Yes, Grandma," without thinking either, which frustrates the grandmother. She declares that the test will start immediately. Mui and Suzuka finally prepare to begin the test, and Mui starts to follow all the steps he learned. The first step is to open the door, but Mui can't get his hand on the handle, and he keeps banging on the door, making a noise that makes the grandmother think there's a cat. The louder the sound, the more nervous the grandmother gets. At that moment, the door suddenly swings open quickly when it should be opened gently. Then it comes to the point of entering through the door, and one must use their hand strength to jump over the paper fan and enter the room. Unfortunately, because of Mui's strength, Suzuka jumps so hard that she resembles a frog, leaving everyone shocked at what's happening, even the grandmother. But Suzuka finishes the stage in the end, and then comes the third stage, which is presenting the sweets. The same person has to taste the sweets. Mui starts executing the steps and had actually mastered them, but he didn't have a piece of candy like Suzuka, so Gon put a piece of biscuit in front of him. Mui picked it up, chewed it, and swallowed it, but Suzuka's body couldn't handle this, and she spat the candy onto the grandmother. Mui had a shocked expression while Suzuka did the same, causing the grandmother to panic. Then it was time for the fourth stage, which is drinking tea. Mui had also mastered this, but due to the difference in their body dimensions, Suzuka drank the tea excessively, leaving a mark on her mouth. Then came the next stage where Suzuka failed, and the grandmother got very angry and scolded Suzuka, saying she didn't learn the concept and meaning behind these lessons. That's why she failed. Suddenly, a giant wasp appeared, shocking Mui and the grandmother, who feared these creatures, causing her to panic. Suddenly, Mui used his skill and managed to catch the wasp, which made the grandmother say that what she saw was the best performance and declared that Suzuka passed the test. Afterward, Suzuka sat with Mui and Nico, very happy, informing them about what her grandmother said, that her grandmother stated the family's hope now rests on Suzuka because she was impressed with what she did. Suzuka then mentioned that she had another test and suggested that Mui help her, which he completely refused. Khan was begging Mui to let him stay at home this month without paying rent because he had no money right now and couldn't cover his monthly expenses. But Mui was very angry and told Khan that it was his problem because he spent all his money on useless things. He suggested that Khan could make money by using his body, then showed him a part-time job advertisement for a play that would take place in the park, where they needed someone to play the villain. After hearing about the job, Khan felt frustrated, saying he didn't like working because there was no fun in it and that work made him feel like an adult. Then he started to complain like a child, but at that moment, we see that he was actually trying out for the job because his complaining was pointless. He performed an acrobatic move and passed the audition. When the director saw his skills, he was very impressed and offered him the lead role immediately because their current hero was injured. This was a huge shock for Khan. Then we see Khan wearing the suit of the hero named Automan. Although he had never heard of this hero before, the director explained that this hero was very famous among kids and mothers. After that, the theater team gathered, and the director informed them of the steps they would take and guided them. The play started with an ordinary man who had a wife, but their relationship was not good, and the wife was ignoring her husband. They began watching television, but Khan intervened, asking them why they were watching TV, and saying how boring the show was. When the director saw Khan disrupting them, he became angry and yelled at him to go back to his place. The story then returned to calm, featuring a man traveling by train to his office. At the office, a very nice girl named Hanukkah invited him to lunch, but the man refused and told her he really didn't know why she invited him in particular. The girl started saying that he was always like that, but she knew all the good qualities in him, Mr. Sugata, and she really liked him, which made Mr. Sugata shy. When Kan saw this scenario, he went crazy and thought they were doing a play. Afterwards, the man started talking to the girl, but suddenly the villains appeared, and surprisingly, the girl was the leader of the villains, and then it was Kan's turn to enter. At that point, the director yelled at Kan to come in, and quickly Kan went in and defeated the main villain. villain. When the director saw that, he started to get upset because Khan was supposed to fight the henchman first and then defeat the main villain since he was the one giving the orders. After that, they did a retake of the scene, and Khan defeated the villain's henchman. When the director watched Khan's movements, he said that at least Khan could move with agility. Then the play continued, and Mr. Sugata was being scolded by his boss. When he returned home, he saw that his wife had prepared a special occasion table and discovered that it was their wedding anniversary, which he had forgotten. After hearing this, the wife began to complain, saying she would use the same punishment again. Next, we see that the man has been turned into a chair for his wife, and his wife was sitting while he was under her feet. When Khan saw this, he went crazy and started screaming. At that moment, the director also became angry and began yelling at Khan. After that, a confrontation began between them, and the director told him that if he didn't stick to the script, he wouldn't get paid. Then Khan was seen talking to the man who was playing the villain. The man even had an injured foot and had been told he would be assigned to play Otto Man, but due to an injury during rehearsals, he was replaced. His son was very excited because it was his father's first role as a hero. When the son learned that his father wouldn't be playing the role, he started crying. He had even bought some toys for him several times before, but now he couldn't do anything. He would give it his best shot as the villain. At that point, Khan thought to himself how sorry he felt for him because it's very bad when parents break their promises. He then told the man to quickly call his son and let him know he was Otto Man. On the other side, it turned out that Mui had heard all of that and was very pleased with Khan's actions. Next, we jump directly to the scene of the play, where Khan and the man completely swapped costumes. As a result, they began discussing strange things in the script, shocking the director because what was being said was not in the play's script. Even Nico, who was watching the play, interrupted and said that Khan had claimed he would play the hero, but the hero was someone else. On the other hand, the hero didn't understand what he was supposed to do now because he was injured in his foot and couldn't move much. But Khan encouraged him not to worry because he would handle everything. After that, the hero lightly tapped Khan, who acted brilliantly and rolled over quickly, falling backward, astonishing the director and everyone present. The kids were very impressed with the performance. Khan was performing excellently as the villain, and the hero lightly tapped him again. Still, Khan was acting in such a realistic way that the hero is so strong that Khan was flying in the air until he was defeated, ending the villain's role here, and the hero's son was very proud of his dad. After the play ended, all the kids were very impressed with the hero, but unfortunately, the director was not very happy with what happened, so he deducted their pay, making Khan's income 0. After that, Khan, Mui, and Nico were on their way home. Khan was feeling sad, saying that this was why he didn't like part-time jobs and felt he wasn't cut out for work. But Mui told him just the opposite, that he was very good in a work environment and advised Khan to try different jobs until he found the right one. He also said regarding this month's expenses, he could wait a little, and upon hearing that, Khan was very happy. But Mui told him that next month he'd have to pay 2 months' salary to him, and if he didn't, there would be a significant penalty. Khan said he wouldn't waste money this time. Then we returned to see the hero scene at his home. He was very happy with his son. After that, we moved to Mui's home after a month, and we see that Mui is practicing with Khan the same punishment that was in the play, and it seems that Khan hasn't learned. Then we see that Khan is working at a part-time job where he has to pack nails into plastic bags. But after just a few minutes of working, he feels crazy because he can't sit still for long. And until now, he hadn't managed to fill 1 box. If he continued this work, it would take years, but if he didn't work, he wouldn't earn money, and thus wouldn't be able to pay his debts, forcing him to become Otto Man for Mui again. All these problems made him go to Nico and ask her for a spell to make himself faster. When Nico heard that, she was very surprised. She told him that he was already fast and very active, which annoyed him. Then Nico told him that she could increase his speed from 1.5 to 10 times, and when Khan heard that, he got excited and said he needed maximum speed. But unfortunately, Nico told him that things wouldn't be easy because there were warnings and side effects. Then Nico began explaining the side effects. The first was that the spell would last for 3 days. Of course, Khan had no problem with that. The second was that after casting the spell, he wouldn't be able to attack anyone. But Khan wasn't worried about that because he had no intention of fighting. The third was collapses. This point Khan didn't understand and said he'd manage. After that, finally, Nico cast the spell on him, increasing his speed to 10 times. After the spell was cast, Khan started to talk, but nobody could understand him because he was talking too fast. Seeing that, Khan felt discouraged and kept trying to talk without success. Then he decided to take a piece of paper and write on it. "What are you saying? I didn't understand a thing." As a result, Mui began to explain, saying that Khan's mind had become 10 times faster, making them now 10 times slower for him. After Mui explained this to Nico, she began to panic. On the other hand, Khan started feeling fearful of both of them because they were speaking in strange ways, alongside their strange tone. At that moment, Khan Kan realized that all these things were happening because of the spell, since his mind had become 10 times faster. Mui and Nico were extremely slow for him. He couldn't understand their language and was very scared of their expressions. After that, he decided he couldn't stay with them any longer and went back to doing his job. Everything around him was moving slowly, even time. And for him, he didn't feel he had become faster, but that the world around him had become slower. Kan was surprised that he wasn't accomplishing anything quickly and felt like he had been working for hours when only 10 minutes had passed. Suddenly, he realized he would have to spend 3 days with this failed spell, meaning for him it would take 30 days, which terrified him because how could he spend 30 days without talking to anyone? After that, he went to Nico to return him to his normal state and tried to explain to them what he was going through, but they didn't understand his language. Mui wrote to him to talk slowly. Kan tried, but he didn't succeed. Mui and Nico realized that Kan felt sad. Nico tried to talk quickly again, but that didn't work either. Kan lost hope, left them, and then came back for food and left them again. After that, Mui and Nico discussed Kan's situation, but after a little while, Kan came back again for food. Nico didn't know what was happening, and Mui started to explain and told her that 30 minutes for them equaled 5 hours for Kan. If things kept going this way, he would need to eat food more than 10 times a day, so they bought a lot of food, but it ended very quickly. Time was passing very quickly for them, but very slowly for Kan. Even Kan came in front of Mui and talked for a few seconds and then left. Mui didn't understand anything. Kan had even completed his part-time job long ago and was lying on the ground like the dead from boredom. Days were passing quickly to the point where he needed new underwear, and when Mui bought the clothes and gave them to Kan, he started to cry in front of Mui and then left after a few seconds. After that, we see that Kigo came to their house and was very surprised when he saw Kan's state. He then suggested the idea that they could record Kan's voice. After that, they could listen to it with slow-motion technology. When they heard that, they were very surprised because this idea hadn't crossed their minds. But then Kan came and started talking to them slowly. He told them he had been practicing speaking slowly for a long time until he mastered it. After hearing that, everyone was very surprised. On the other hand, Kan was extremely happy to talk to them normally. After that, they all spent time together laughing. Kan even showed them how to walk slowly. They happily sat down at the dinner table. Then we moved to the scene of the next day when Kan returned to his normal state. But the shock was that Kan was terrified because Mui and Nico were very fast for him now since he had gotten used to talking and walking slowly. And although he returned to his normal state, he was still speaking slowly. Kara goes to Nico and tells her that she has a very important paper that was accidentally destroyed by a shredder. She asks if Nico can help her using magic. Nico is shocked by what she sees and hears, and Kara says she's willing to give her favorite dress in exchange for her help. Nico tells her that if she wants to fix a specific paper, it has to be alone and not a mix of papers, and she thinks this will be very difficult because they won't be able to separate all that paper. After hearing this, Kara feels very sad, and then Moya asks Kara how this important paper got shredded by mistake. Kara explains that this paper belonged to her mother, who died a year ago due to some illness, and it was her father who shredded the papers. She starts to recall what happened when she walked in on her dad and noticed that he was reading a letter from her mother. She begins to wonder if her mother wrote it when she was alive and says she needs to read this letter, but her dad stops her from doing that and tears the paper in the shredder while apologizing to her. Kara sees this and gets extremely angry. Then Moya starts talking, saying it seems there's something important written in the letter that her dad didn't want her to know. Nico gets excited and says she'll help her in any way possible. Kara responds that it's almost impossible. Then she notices that Nico has started to separate the papers from each other. Kara asks her if she's crazy because they obviously can't separate the papers they need, but Nico says the letter's papers are green, so she can separate them. After seeing Nico, Moya also starts to help her. Kara insists that this work seems impossible and that they don't need to do this. Moya begins telling her about a time when he was in 4th grade. He built the Osaka castle using toothpicks, so the impossible work doesn't exist for him. Nico says she'll be happy to help Kara even if it takes time because Kara has always helped her. After hearing this, Kara becomes emotional and hugs Nico, and then she starts separating the papers as well. While they're sorting through the papers, they talk a lot as Kara reveals that she already knows what was written on that paper, but she wants to confirm her mother's message. She tells them that her dad isn't her biological father, and she knows this already. She shares that when she was in 7th grade, she went to visit her relatives and heard the truth from them. She says she was shocked, but it didn't affect her much because she saw that her parents loved her a lot, and she accepted that situation beforehand. For her, her dad is the one who raised her and took care of her, not someone else. Moya says it would be different for him, so he understands this. After a long time, they all manage to gather the papers, and everyone is happy. quickly. Kara thanks them for their help. Then it's Nico's turn to use her magic, and she uses it, turning the shredded pieces of paper back into a letter, leaving them amazed by Nico's magic. Kara then starts to read the letter, where her mother wrote an apology to her. She tells her that she was sick and didn't know how long she would live, so she would only write what she wanted to tell her. In the letter, there's a shock for Kara. Her mother wrote that she isn't her biological mother. Her real mother left her dad and ran away after giving birth to her, and her dad raised her alone until he met her mother, who cared for her. Then suddenly, Kara's dad comes in and tells them they shouldn't be reading that letter, but Moya tells him that he shouldn't do that. Kara's mother wrote her a letter to know all this stuff, and it's her right to know, and he shouldn't impose his feelings on her. Then Kara's dad says he received the message by mail after her mother passed away, and that he didn't want Kara to know about her second mother, otherwise it could cause problems in the relationship with her mother, who raised her, since she cherished her mother a lot and said she resembled her. After that, Kara becomes very emotional, and says her dad should have told her that, and she says her feelings toward her mother will never change. She expresses her respect for her mother no matter what. Then Kara's dad gets very emotional, starts crying, and apologizes to Kara, asking her to forgive him. Nico tells Kara that she needs to read more, and then Kara starts reading. Her mother wrote that she wanted to keep the secret until Kara grew up. She wished she could tell Kara this face to face, but fate had other plans. She says, "I still remember that moment when I first met you with your father, and I was so happy to see you at that time. Since that day, you captured my heart, and I was so happy that you would become my daughter. I had no other daughter but you. From that day, I got my perfect life, with a husband and a lovely daughter, and all I had was happiness with my family. Thank you so much for becoming my daughter, Kara." Kara then starts crying intensely, deeply affected by her mother's words. Her mother says, "Don't worry, we'll meet again in the next life. I'll be waiting for you." Then both the father and daughter hug each other. After that, we see Moyo and Nico walking by the river, where Moyo is happy to help Kara and trying to talk to Nico. But Nico became emotional and said if she spoke now, she'd cry because she was affected. Suddenly, her bag lights up, revealing that her magical stone had become whiter to help Kara. Nico then says she has an idea, and Moyo supports her. Shortly after, the scene shifts to school, where Nico posts a notice for anyone needing help. Suddenly, Kan approaches her and tells her someone wants to help her. When Nico hears this, she becomes happy, and then someone named Horai enters. When they see him, they are stunned because he looks very different and ask him if he's from a different country, to which he answers yes. He starts talking about his daily routine and how the weather is great today, saying strange things. Moyo tells him that his speech sounds like English. Horai explains that this is because his father is an English teacher, and he has many English books he studied since he was young. Moyo interrupts him and says, "Listen, man, just tell us directly what you want." Horai clarifies that generally he can talk well with people, but he can't talk to girls. Hearing this makes Nico very happy, and she says, "So it's about love, and he seems to like a girl," which leads Kan to say, "Just go and tell her your feelings." Then Horai starts telling Kan a lot about the girl, and Kan advises him, "You should talk to her well. You need to express how you feel about her." Shows them 2 cinema tickets. He begins saying, "I'll ask her if she wants to go with me to watch the movie." Upon hearing this, everyone is astonished and thinks, "Wow, it seems he's going to ask her out." Horai then asks Nico for a favor and says he wants her to use some magic to help him communicate with her well. Nico responds that she can use magic on him, but she wants him to express his feelings himself and in his natural way, as there's nothing wrong with that. Hearing this, Horai becomes very happy and says, "Yes, you're right." After that, Moyo encourages Horai, telling him, "I know you can do it." Soon after, the girl arrives at the spot, and everyone hides to watch from a distance. They start wondering if Horai will be able to talk to her well and express his feelings. After that, Horai begins to talk to the girl, and the shock is that the girl resembles Horai in appearance and speech. Her name is Nikora. Then Horai turns to his friends and clearly states, "This is my girlfriend." They start talking quickly and turn into a couple. Upon witnessing this, the others are filled with shock and great joy. After that, everyone starts praising Horai, and he thanks them all for their help. Then Horai says, "Starting today, you are my new friends." He considers giving them the movie tickets since he and his girlfriend decide to play tennis instead of going to the cinema. But Kan doesn't like watching movies, and Megami has already seen the film. Then Moyo asks, "Nico, will you go with me to watch this movie?" Upon hearing this, Nico becomes very happy, thinking of it as a date. She starts getting ready to go watch the movie like Horai. Shortly after, we see a scene where Megami, Nico, and Kan are talking among themselves. Nico is anxious, thinking about how to tell Moyo she wants to go on a date with him. Megami starts saying that Moyo feels happy when he watches a comedy, laughing a lot during the show. They try to reassure Nico, saying that Moyo has feelings but is quirky. However, Nico is very sad. Kan and Megami tell Nico that tomorrow she should observe Moyo to understand his feelings and not worry about anything else. Then, they go out, leaving her. Suddenly, Moyo comes in and asks them, "What are you doing in Nico's room?" At hearing this, Megami and Kan feel shocked and tense, replying, No, we were just playing poker and she needs to read faces." Moyo replies that if they didn't invite him, because reading his face is hard for them, it's no problem. Anyway, he would have refused the invitation. While walking away, he feels sad and says, "But I would have been happy if you remembered me and invited me." After that, Moyo sits in his room thinking. We also see Nico looking for a spell. The next day, Nico comes and tells Moyo about the spell, which is meant to help Moyo express his feelings. She says, "I didn't want to use it on you without your permission, and I know you'd say no." But Moyo tells her, "I don't mind, you can use it." He starts saying, "If it's hard for you to read my expressions, and this spell would help improve my relationships with others, you can do it." Upon hearing this, Nico feels very happy and uses the spell. At first, it seems nothing happens, but suddenly, something small that resembles Moyo pops out of Moyo's head, and he says, "I don't feel like anything has happened." But the little Moyo is very confused, making Nico realize that this is the result of the spell. After that, Moyo says, "Let's forget about the spell, we need to get ready quickly to go." The little Moyo is very excited. Seeing this, Nico feels happy because she will now understand Moyo's feelings. Then we see Moyo getting ready to go, and Nico comes wearing a yukata. Moyo is impressed by her but tries to hide it, asking Nico why she's wearing the yukata. Nico replies that they are going to the festival, so this outfit will be great. Moyo begins to show he's not interested, but the little Moyo is very enthusiastic and seems to really like Nico. After that, they both go to watch the movie, and Moyo starts explaining the film's concept since Nico knows nothing about it. Moyo clarifies that the movie has romance, horror, and comedy all at once. The movie starts, but Nico isn't watching it much. She focuses more on the expressions of little Moyo. When there's a horror scene, he becomes very scared. When a comedic scene arrives, he laughs a lot. When a romantic scene comes, he gets very emotional. Nico thinks, "It really seems so fun when I see it this way. I hope he stays like this forever. I wish the real Moyo would always be like this." After that, the movie finally ends and they exit the cinema. Nico asks, "How was the movie for you?" He responds that it was good. However, from the perspective of little Moyo, it was clear he was dancing passionately and loved the movie a lot. Then he starts talking about the film and its events. Suddenly, a child runs in and accidentally drops popcorn. But before the popcorn falls, Moyo catches all the pieces and gives them back to the child, making the child feel amazed and very happy. Nico starts praising Moyo, thinking that he is really very kind and always trying to make everyone happy. After that, the two enjoy themselves a lot at the festival. Most of Nico's time is spent focusing on little Moyo. Later, the fireworks begin, and upon seeing this, Nico feels wonderful. Moyo then asks, "What do my expressions look like now?" Nico tells him they look very happy. After that, Moyo starts apologizing, saying, "I don't express myself much, so forgive me." Nico tells him he doesn't have to apologize for that at all. Then Moyo begins to say, "When you enter a battle, it's hard to read your enemy's facial expressions. That's why I have to conceal my feelings a lot." After that, the spell placed on Moyo disappears, and Nico starts saying, "I just want to stay with you to understand your feelings and how you think. I know you're very kind, and your heart is very pure." At that moment, Moyo feels very happy and starts talking about his childhood, saying, "I didn't have any friends, but then I met you, and now I have many friends. My life isn't bad at all. Honestly, I feel happy, and every day is a fun day for me." Hearing this, Nico becomes very emotional and happy. After that, Kan sends a photo of himself with Megami at the festival, and Nico says it seems they're having a lot of fun. We should also go to them. But Moyo says, "No, we'll spend time together." Upon hearing this, Nico feels very happy, and Moyo asks her what kind of sweets she wants.